What's up, everybody? I am so excited to be talking to you about online wine shopping, which just in the past few years has gotten so much better than it used to be. As some of you may recall, shopping for wine online has been a bit of a headache over the past few years with state-to-state shipping laws, the experience kind of being less than awesome, and then just the navigating of the site has been super overwhelming. I have watched over the past few years that experience morph into something that is much more in line with other retail shopping experiences online. The wine industry is starting to come into the 21st century, and I am happy to be your guide through all things navigation of this online wine portal. Now, as many of you know, I found my Prince Charming of online wine retail just about a year and a half ago in the way of Wine Access, and they have been an incredible partner for me both on the retail side and then also, as some of you may already know, they have entrusted me with their podcast, Wine Access Unfiltered. And while I don't work for Wine Access specifically, I am a huge fan of what they do, and to that end, have been buying a lot of wines from that site. In fact, probably about 95% of what I'm buying day in, day out for myself is from Wine Access. They are my go-to retail for online wine shopping. So it stands to reason that many of the wines that I'm talking about here on this channel are also going to be from Wine Access. That said, I have found that there has been a lot of questions as to how to best navigate their site and the intricacies that come with online wine shopping. So I have put together this little video to sort of take you through not only the navigation of the site, but also how to really improve your experience, give you a few hacks, a few tips, and just improve the overall quality of what you're drinking at home. So as we dive into this, I'm going to be breaking this out into a few different sections to answer the most frequently asked questions, like what is a limited time offer wine versus a store wine, and why is it taking so long for my wine to arrive, and what happens if a wine sells out that I really loved and got and I can't get more of, how do I get more of that at some point and be notified when it's back in stock? So there's little tips and tricks that I'm gonna be giving you throughout the course of this video, and then at the end, I'm gonna give you my most favorite hack of all, which is how to get wines that are not actually listed on the site. So stay tuned to the end for that. And right now, I'm gonna be diving into the site, into this homepage to wineaccess.com. Before you go to shop all wines, before you go to limited time offers, the first place I want you to go to is all the way down to meet the curators. This is the most important part about shopping for wine online. Who is selecting these bottles? Who is putting them on the page, in your wine cellar, in your mouth? Who are the people that are selecting those? At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. It's about curation. What I love about Wine Access and what's really unique to them is they've actually got a whole team of sommeliers that curate and select these wines and bring them to you. In fact, I sort of call it like the Avenger style wine selection process, because these are not just ordinary wine buyers. These are people who are masters of wine, master sommeliers, former Michelin-starred wine directors. I mean, the pedigree of the people that are going out gallivanting around the world when that's allowed again is pretty amazing. So let's meet our curators. Who are these people and why is it important? So my friend, Vanessa Conlon, she is actually the head of wine. She's a master of wine. She also happens to be my co-host on Wine Access Unfiltered, and I adore everything that she is. Then you've got Sir Lucero, an amazing master sommelier who's worked at some of the best 3 Michelin-starred restaurants and is also a Krug Cup winner, which means he passed the master sommelier exam, all 3 parts, on his very first try. If you've ever seen the documentary Somm, well, then you know just how difficult that is. Eduardo is amazing. You'll see him all over the Wine Access Instagram. He is not only a sommelier, but he's also an expert in sake. So that's one thing that you can find on Wine Access that most other sites are not going to have, which I love. And I'm really into sake right now. How about you guys? Are you into it? Laura Koffer, she's former wine director colleague in Napa Valley. She ran the Chiarello Group restaurants on the beverage side of things and is going to be your Italian expert person. And then Robert, he's another Master of Wine candidate, which means he's got his WSET diploma. He's worked at some of the best wineries in the Valley. And then as we go through to the bottom of this screen, we're gonna get to the writers. So Pete Holland and Laura Burgess. This is really also very unique to Wine Access. So all of the write-ups that you get that come in your email inbox and then also that you're gonna see online and that will come with the wines that you purchase are gonna come with a unique story, something that speaks to not only how the wine tastes, but why it's important. Why do we care? And so those stories are crafted by a team of wine writers, and this is done for every single wine, no matter if it's $10 or $10,000 a bottle. Every single wine gets its very own story. And again, something that I think really distinguishes Wine Access from that of other online wine retailers. So back to the homepage, and now we can dive into the actual wines. So I know it's really tempting. You're gonna wanna go to Shop All Wines immediately, but don't click that yellow button yet. Instead, scroll down till you see limited time offers. All right, so what is a limited time offer, or an LTO? Shorthand for internal. You don't really need to know that. Limited time offers are essentially wines that will sell out, wines that are only available for a limited time. Sometimes these are wines that come with really great deals. Sometimes they're just really exclusive, wines that they don't get a lot of that are gonna sell out like that. So the reason I'm taking you to limited time offers first is because there is a sense of urgency when buying these wines. So you're gonna find things like some of those private labels that I've talked about, Radio Silence being one, Yesterday being another. So there is this sort of exclusivity and timeliness that you have to have when it comes to the limited time offers. A couple things to keep in mind with the limited time offers and what differentiates them from the store wines is when they're going to ship. Limited time offers, most of them are not going to ship right away. In fact, most of them are going to take a few days, if not up to 3 months, depending on where they are in the world. And this has to do with where they're being sourced. So a lot of times what happens is these are pre-arrivals, meaning the wines haven't arrived quite yet. So they're going to take a little time, which means if you ordered something like champagne that hasn't arrived yet, it can take a little while for that boat to reach here and then for it to get to your house. Moral of the story is you're going to have to be patient for some of these wines. It'll tell you at the end when that wine is scheduled to ship, but you should also know that if you've got anything else in your cart, the latest ship date that's in there, meaning if you've got several pre-arrival wines plus an in-store wine, the latest ship date is when that's going to ship. They're going to bulk that whole order together until it's all ready and then they're going to ship. So always something to keep in mind if you're putting together a big order. So that's a limited time offer wine, and you're going to find those on the front page where it says limited time offer. Also, when we're searching through wines later, you'll see there's a little yellow bar at the top that'll say limited time offer. So there really is a good and easy way to see the difference between those wines and in-store wines. So what is an in-store wine? An in-store wine is basically anything that's not a limited time offer. This is readily available, going to ship either that day or the following day, and ready to go in a box and get to your door. That brings us to the next really fun part, finding the perfect wine for you. So it's always helpful to know when you're going to any shopping experience, whether you're looking for something really specific or something generic, what your parameters are. We'll start with something super specific like an under $30 Pinot Noir from California. What we're gonna do is go back to that homepage and you're gonna go all the way over to regions. Then you're gonna go to California, click on that. Now, as we go through here, we're gonna look at this little top bar and go to variety because we want a Pinot Noir from California. So let's scroll down here and click on Pinot Noir. And then we've decided that we want something in that under $30 price point. So let's go back to price, $0 to $30. Voila, we've got a couple of options here. 2018 County Line Vineyards Pinot Noir from Sonoma Coast and the 2018 Kinfolk Pinot Noir from Sonoma Coast. So what's the difference between these? They both say Sonoma Coast. One's $20, one's $28. Let's click and see what the difference between these two wines are. And this is what I was talking about before, those great write-ups. You can see exactly what you're gonna be getting in this bottle. So we're gonna read the story here so you can see, maybe this wine is gonna be better for you or maybe the other one's gonna be better for you. But also I want you to pay attention to this little middle section right here before you get into that story. These are gonna be the Cliffs Notes, the highlights reel, the things that you're gonna wanna look for maybe first. Maybe before you even get to the story, you go to this section first and look to see all of the little tasting notes that they've got very easily laid out for you. So you've got fruit intensity, which means, how fruity is this wine gonna be? Oak intensity, how oaky is this wine going to be? So it's going to have a lot of that baking spice, that vanilla, that roundness, intensity. Sometimes oak can give, a really, really intense sort of textural feeling. Of course, with Pinot Noir, probably not so much. And then body, how much body is this going to have? Light body, middle body, and full body. And then acidity is huge. Where are you going to be feeling that sort of like zip, zap, zip in your mouth? So acidity is moderate. And then tannin, of course, we would expect Pinot Noir to be lower in tannin. So I love that it breaks this up for you. I also love that it's going to give you little food pairing suggestions down at the bottom with these cute little illustrations. And then on the side here, your ABV. I know some of you are really, really keen on knowing what your ABV is, your alcohol by volume. Most wines are going to be between 12 and 15% or 12 and 14.5%. This is smack dab in the middle. Your drinking window, when should you be drinking these wines? So now through 2026 is what they're saying. Your serving temperature, of course, what temperature you're going to serve that. I get that question a lot. Don't need to decant. I love this little decanter illustration. It says, enjoy right away, no need. And then your varieties. Now this is really important because sometimes you'll see wines are red blends and it won't always say in the title what that makeup is. So this is where you're going to find out whether or not it's got a little Petit Syrah or a Carignan or a Syrah or something else in there. This is where that's going to be listed. At the bottom here, as you go through, this is those stories that I was talking about. So our friend Laura and Pete and the whole writing team, they're the ones that put these stories together, of course, with the help of the wine team, who offer their notes and their what they found, what they love about the wine. And then the wine writing team is the one that puts this all together. And they're amazing. They're truly, truly talented writers. And I enjoy reading all of these stories. In fact, this is probably one of the best pieces of feedback that we get from the podcast from our guests is how much they enjoy the inserts, because this, like I said, is not just going to exclusively live online. This is also going to come with every single bottle that you order. So it's going to come as an insert. There's a little tear off that you can tie onto the, just loop onto the bottle. And people love this. They love reading the stories about these wines. And frankly, I do too. I think this is hugely helpful and one of my favorite parts about Wine Access. So this is the story here. Your tasting notes are at the bottom. So they actually don't spend a whole lot of time on tasting notes. They actually spend a lot more time on the story, that why do we care? Why do we care? Why does this matter? What's this wine doing in my cellar? The thing that we bring to the dinner table, because nobody's talking about, whether the wine's got more cassis or black currant or cherry or whatever. We're talking about the story of the wine. How did this wine evolve from, conventional farming to biodynamic farming? I want to know all the nitty-gritty details. So an amazing thing that I love so much. And then let's just say you want to completely take out region or variety or even price in the equation. Let's just say you're having, you're having some seafood for dinner and you're like, I don't know what wine to pair with this. Well, they've got a button for that too. So you're going to go back to all wines, and instead of selecting a variety or a country, you're going to select food pairing. So like we said, we're going to have some fish for dinner. So we're going to click that and up pops a whole bunch of different options. So let's see, we've got a few things here. We could also narrow it down by price if you decided that these are all wines that are maybe too expensive for you. Maybe you narrow it down to $0 to $30. Let's see what comes up for there. And we've got this Muscadet here. Muscadet is great with fish. Demi Michel Bergeron Muscadet Sevremen, Sur Lee, $24. That looks delicious. Let's click on that and see what it says. Let's make sure it's going to fit our palate. I love that. Fruit intensity is kind of on the low side. No oak, light-bodied, not sweet, and really high acidity. Yeah, that's going to work really great for our fish. So let's say you're just truly browsing. You have no idea why you're even here. You're just like sitting in the middle of the afternoon. One of my favorite things to do is search by collection. You'll see at the drop down that comes up all different ways to do that. So you could shop by expert, which lends itself to what I was talking about before, this Avengers style wine team. Maybe you've got a palette that's more in line with Vanessa. Maybe you've got a palette that's more in line with Laura. Laura loves Italian, so does Sir. So you would click on Vanessa to see what her favorites are. And I'm not surprised to see there's a few bottles of champagne in there, several in fact. There's some Bordeaux. She tends to like really high acid wines, but she also is a lover of Napa Valley. And so it's really wide, an eclectic array of wines. So if you know that Vanessa's palette is something that falls in line with yours, well, she's a great person to maybe follow and keep tabs on. The other way that I really like to search through collections is through things like Michelin star favorites. So these are going to be things that you would often see allocated to Michelin star restaurant wine programs. So wines that are a little bit harder to find, maybe they're a little geekier, maybe they're like something like a unicorn wine. This is where those are going to live. So Bill Carr on a by the glass list at many different restaurants, La Herte Frere, same deal. So that's just a few ways to search for collections. Obviously, any of these are lots of fun and you can dive into a rabbit hole and have yourself a grand old time doing it. Let's go back once more to that homepage. And another question that I get all the time is, does Wine Access have a wine club? Or what is your favorite wine club? I'm a member of several different wine clubs, and I've talked about a few of them. But I do love Wine Access's wine club, and I love it because it's actually just quarterly. It's not a monthly wine club, which I feel like is a little less commitment. So the wine club, what is the wine club all about? So there's a couple different options, but both are going to be $150 plus tax, including shipping. And they're going to be delivered, like I said, 4 times per year. So what that gets you is you've got 2 different clubs. One's going to be the Discovery Club. The other is going to be the Connoisseurs Club. The Discovery Club is going to get you 6 bottles of wine. You can choose whether you want it to be all reds or a mix of red and white. And the Connoisseurs Club is going to be that same price, so $150, but instead of it being 6 bottles, it's going to be 2 bottles. So just sort of a, how do you like to drink? Do you like a few different bottles that are going to be in a lower, more accessible price point, or do you want something that's more luxury? And those clubs are curated by the Wine Access team members. They also come with their own videos with tasting notes. So Vanessa and Eduardo always sit down for those. And then one of the other awesome benefits is that you get 10% off of your Wine Access wine purchases. And this is really important because not only are you going to get 10% off the Wine Access purchases in the store, but a lot of times these wine club wines are only available to the wine club. So if you wanted more of a wine club wine, they would give you access to that plus your 10% off. So kind of makes it a win-win for everybody. So I mentioned there's 2 wine clubs, but I happen to know that there's actually a super secret third. And I'm not really supposed to tell you about it, but I'm going to anyway. Hopefully they won't be mad at me. But I really couldn't not tell you about this. So like I said, we have the Discovery Club and the Connoisseurs Club, but secretly they also have something called the Collectors Club. And the Collectors Club is sort of part of this secret stuff that I was alluding to before when I was talking about Laura. So with any great shopping experience or wine buying experience, knowing the people and having a relationship with them tends to get you access and really exclusive invitations to things that maybe wouldn't exist otherwise. So if you've ever shopped at really high-end department stores, you know that like a personal shopper can be really, really critical in helping you find things that you wouldn't normally find on the floors. Same with restaurants. Knowing the somm is huge. And it's no different with Wine Access. So what I love about Wine Access, and I've often called them sort of like the Nordstrom of the wine buying experience, because they don't have everything in the world, right? They don't have every single wine ever made, but that's not the point. The point is to have a collection of wines that are highly curated, that have meaning, that have a place, that have been selected on purpose. And so with that, just like a Nordstrom or a Neiman Marcus or Saks Fifth Avenue and like a restaurant, you have exclusive experiences for people who have relationships with them. So things for the VIP insiders. And as you probably know, it doesn't take that much to figure out how to nurture that relationship. Sometimes it's just an email, sometimes it's just asking. And so the key to that door is going to be our friend Laura Koffer. She's amazing. She's the head of inside sales. But that secret third club that I was mentioning, the Collectors Club, is only available through her, as well as some other wines that you may not have seen on the store. So that is another question I get a lot. Do you have wines, or does Wine Access have wines that are not available on the site? And the answer is yes, they absolutely do. And the way to those as well is going to be through Laura. So exclusive access to the Wine Collectors Club, and then exclusive access to some other really cool things. If you saw my Instagram post from a little while ago with those 2 really cool Burgundies, those were from Laura's secret stash. So things that you don't see, that doesn't mean they don't exist. It just means you have to ask nicely. So now that you've picked out all of your wine, maybe you started purchasing things, putting things in the cart, a good thing to do before you even start shopping is to check out my account and go to addresses. This is a mistake I have made a time or 2. So something to keep in mind, and this is the case for a lot of online wine retailers, what is available will vary state to state or region by region. And so what you want to do before you start that shopping experience is go to your addresses and either enter the address of where you're going to be shipping, or make sure the one that you're shipping to is selected if you've got multiple. For me, I've got multiple. You can have up to 20 saved. I send a lot of wine to people. So I always make sure that the correct address is saved. And once I go to my cart, I'm going to look in my cart to make sure that it says shipping to the state that I want it to ship to. So a couple of things you can change under the shipping. One is going to be the delivery date. So it says here your delivery is scheduled for X date. And if for some reason that doesn't work for you, maybe you're not going to be home, maybe you're going to be on vacation, you can change that for another date. You could also expedite your shipping here. This is where you could choose second day air or even next day air, or you could change your carrier. So if maybe you know that FedEx doesn't do a great job delivering to your doorstep and UPS is better, then maybe select UPS. So now that you've bought all of your wines, everything is hunky-dory, and you're sitting down, you have it, and you're like, oh my gosh, that was amazing, but I want it again. An easy way to find that wine and just click again is to go back to my account, head to wine portfolio, and then down here, you're gonna see a whole list of all the wines that you've ever purchased from Wine Access, which as you can see is quite a few. You could add a rating, you can add a review, and this is a really good way to keep tabs on things that you really liked, that you've purchased, and then you can also click this button to buy again. Now, what happens if you bought a wine that is no longer available? Oh my gosh, I didn't buy enough. How many times has that happened? Well, you can click notify me and they will notify you when this wine is available and in stock again. And you can be notified by text message or by email. So that's a really fun feature that not a lot of people know about. So nice tip for you there. And then last but not least, let's say your wines get delivered and you're like, I actually don't really like it. Well, if you're in here, you can always leave a review, and a lot of times what will happen is the team will proactively reach out to you and maybe credit you or ask you what happened. But what I want to say is if you are not satisfied with any wine for any reason, whether it's corked or oxidized or you just don't like it, it didn't meet your expectations, all you're going to do is give them a call or send them an email, and they're going to credit you for that bottle. They guarantee every single wine, and this is, I think, of all the things that I love, even more than the fact that they iterate and they change and they do all this wonderful things when it comes to shipping. Even more than that is they put the onus on themselves to make sure that you, the consumer, love the wine. And that is huge for me because that means that there's really no risk when it comes to buying wine. It means that they have done everything on their end to ensure that they're going to get you that wine that you really like, but sometimes they know that they don't always hit the mark. So they take responsibility for that, and that means that you get that credit back to you, back to your account, and you can find something else. And then, as I mentioned, the shipping, one of the things that I haven't loved so much about some other retailers is how my wines have arrived sort of disheveled, warm, hot even sometimes. I have had every experience in the world when it comes to shipping wine, and Wine Access does an amazing job at making sure that your wine not only is not touching many different hands, it's also arriving in a really, really great package, whether it's the summertime or the wintertime or whatever. They will cold ship in the summer if it's too warm. They'll hold shipping if you want to. They just do an amazing job at making sure that the experience, that all-encompassing experience from site to bottle to home to drinking, all of it is top-notch and to the level that I would want it to be for you guys. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for watching. This has been so much fun. If you enjoyed this video and you found it helpful, I would love for you to leave a comment, hit the thumbs up button, and of course subscribe to my channel. I am so excited to be bringing you all the content, all the wine related, food related, travel related, delicious related content, and look forward to seeing more of you with me on this channel and of course on Instagram where I live as well. See you soon.